So in this one, we're going to focus on gratitude for the end result already complete.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yeah. And, how to cultivate that through the day, gratitude for all the little parts of the day that come across. I mean, if you're constantly in that state of gratitude, identifying those things that, you're grateful for as well, will already bring you more of the same, right? Because that's finishing the circuit.
Right. Yeah. And then making it pointed to the thing, or using that energy to flow back into, or funneling that momentum into the thing that you want.
It's almost like in the beginning you're practicing it. And bringing it more into your life, so that when it becomes more natural for you. And so then when you're pointing it toward, if you do it enough times, fire together, wire together, right? If I'm grateful for, and really feel grateful for, having this cup of coffee, having this drink, having this food, having a car to get me back and forth to work, getting back and forth to work without incident, having a decent day at work, or at least parts of my day that went smoothly, being, working on that being a normal frame of mind for you, and really cultivating that feeling, not just like, oh, I'm grateful for that. Oh, I'm grateful for that. No, I want to feel it. That like, it could be different. I mean, if you don't, if people are just being sort of like, unintentionally not unintentionally grateful. What do I mean? If they don't feel the gratitude, they're just saying the words. That's like saying the words of the prayers, but not really feeling the prayers, right? So it's just words. I mean,
well, that was the thing about yesterday's exercises of the circle walking, right? It's like, because I remember, starting to do prayer, which, I mean, the whole, that's one of the main things of prayer, right? Is cultivating that personal relationship with, something greater than yourself, whatever you conceive that to be, right? But, oh man, I forgot where I was going with that.
Well, you can't cultivate the feeling.
Right. But yeah, right. And so that's where I was going with it. I was going to say, like, yeah, it's like, but I was still so attached to thinking that, like, you need to use like rote prayers or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for me, where I didn't grow up, being raised in a particular religion. So a lot of the rote prayers that people say that may carry a lot of impact for them or a lot of meaning for them wasn't there for me, because I didn't grow up with it. I don't have a reference point for it.
Right.
So, like the whole thing with the circle walking, it's like, and just speaking and saying what's really on your mind. It's like, I find that it really does bring up it's like the words are just the wrapper for the feeling, right? And if there's no feeling contained in that wrapper for you, then you got to find a different wrapper.
Right. Right. It's like I said to you with artwork, right? It's like, if, I know, again, there's no way for me to do this, so I'm going to say sorry ahead of time, but because I will piss somebody off saying this, but it's like I have to have an example that people understand. It's like, I know he's a great artist. I'll acknowledge that, famous, but there's nothing that Andy Warhol has ever done that ever appealed to me in any way, shape, or form. So it's sort of like, if you gave me one, I'd only be looking at a way to sell it, because then I could use the money to do something else that I actually enjoy.
Right.
It's just one of those things, if there's no feeling behind it. To me, anything that has feeling has the potential for prayer, or is prayer in some way, shape, or form. It's like, when has a picture moved you to tears, or just, brought up that feeling for you? And then, when you direct that toward a goal, a specific goal, that's the essence of prayer, right? When have you read a poem that certain lines just spoke to you so deeply, it just brought you to tears without you even knowing why. I mean, you read the words and you relate it to something in your life, and all of a sudden there's that connection, and bang, it just like nails you. You don't even know where it came from. It's just like pouring out of you now. I'm not wasting that. I recognize that as, the essence of prayer, right? Prayer is a consolidation of emotion and feeling, and, it's a wellspring of energy. And if I can direct that into a certain want, or if I can pour it into being grateful, right, then it's like it's bringing me more of the same, right? Gratitude is the best sort of end result emotional aspect of finishing a feedback loop of sending a thought out and retrieving it back with a feeling. And when I make that connection of being grateful, it's like I'm grateful because I actually have an expression of that in my environment. Right? It's like that's the gratitude it's here. Thank you. I have it in my hands. Thank you. Thank you for this child. Thank you for this food. Thank you for this drink. Thank you for this friend. Right? So it's like all of those things, and it concentrates it and makes it, the reason we cry, the reason we tear up, the reason we laugh. It's a way to, it's a release valve, because we can't even contain it. We can't contain it. It's so concentrated, so pure. And, when we're in that mode, I mean, that stuff, that's powerful. That's power, man. And if you can direct it in the way that you want, if you can get used to doing that through the day with little things. I'm not saying you got to cry when you're eating your tuna fish sandwich. I'm just saying that, when I cultivate that gratitude, right?
Speak for yourself.
I'm just saying, it could be awesome tuna fish sandwich. I happen to like those too. It's great. But I'm just saying, it's like, I'm not trying to make everybody into weepy fools all day long, right? But the idea is that when I really cultivate that gratitude, when it becomes a common part of my life, like speaks to like, right? So it's like the universe keeps providing me with more and more things to be grateful for, as if I didn't have enough already, right? But it just keeps presenting them in a way that I see them in that, really high-pitched, kind of container, that high vibration. And in that, I get a lot of joy. I feel great when that happens. Yeah. After the embarrassment or the whatever, or my wife going, "Are you crying?"
Yeah.
It was just a dog food commercial. Don't worry about it. There's something about it. It just got to me. Yeah. But that's the thing, right? We all have our little triggers, right? And it's like, but if we can cultivate that more and more, when we go to our practices of, assuming or imagining that what we want is already present in our life, and when we add gratitude to that, and we have all these examples that we've done for days and weeks and through the day and all these little things, you have a great sort of rhythm with that, right? You have a great example of that many times in your day. And so when you apply it to that, it makes it even more real, right? So when you imagine that and you've layered on all of the sensory, apparatus around it, I can visualize what that's going to be like. I can hear it, I can taste it, I can smell it, I can feel it. And I'm grateful for it now before it's even here. That's like connecting the loop. And when I can connect the loop like that, I mean, it's hard for people, just to jump right into gratitude for something that they've never experienced. Absolutely. But it's not hard for people to experience gratitude for things they already have. And do you see the, from a brain science wise, right? What fires together wires together. So if you keep firing every day, multiple times a day, imbibing, right? Multiple times a day, gratitude, real gratitude, heartfelt gratitude for whatever, whatever strikes you, then that keeps firing. And those make, they wire together, those neurons wire together, and it makes a stronger, more direct circuit. And that becomes, a part of you that's constantly looking to be stimulated, right? It's not a cow path anymore, it's a direct superhighway. Mm-hmm. And when you bring up what you want and you're layering all these sensory things and you really feel that, when that gratitude switch hits, and it can drive you to your knees, that you're so grateful. That feeling as if it's right there in front of you, and you're so grateful for it being in your life right now. That's pulling the trigger. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to earth it, ground it, whatever term you want, stabilizing it in that earthly environment. And that's just one of those key parts that, people explain it in different ways, but that's just my explanation of it and giving you sort of reference points for it. I mean, gratitude is a very high level emotion.
Yeah, right.
It's a response to something already achieved. I read the poem, I see the painting, I have the experience, I get the hug, all of those things I'm grateful for, and I want to keep bringing them into my life. And whatever I have right now, I can find things that I'm grateful for and cultivate that really deep emotional response to that. That's the juice, man. That's what's gonna drive it home.
And and when you're like actually in the middle of that experience of gratitude for something that you do already have, or something that's right in front of you, do you actually like think about the thing that you want as if it's already done in that moment, or do you just kind of embrace that experience?
I embrace the experience. I'm really, I don't want to deflect it into anything, at a certain point in time. That superhighway is going to be so built that once you turn it on, you're going to be great. Whatever you're bringing up, you're going to be grateful for. The idea is, again, just to sort of make that analogy, right? If I'm just saying the words to a prayer or whatever, using your example, right? I'm just praying the words, and then trying somehow to cultivate a feeling around it. It doesn't happen very often. I've got to say, after again working with many people and whatever, it's like trying to force yourself to love someone.
Right.
If it ain't there, it ain't there. You can say it forward, backward, whatever. We don't know what actually makes that, peak emotional experience of love or whatever. It just happens. It's some kind of chemistry or something connects in a way that, why is it so, volatile for us as a species, And I feel like in the same way, it's sort of like that same idea. It's like, how do you feel for something where, you're not really, you don't either understand the words, or they're so foreign to you, or you don't really understand the concept. You're supposed to say it over and over again. There are people that say it over and over again for their whole lives, and they still don't get it. So, and there are plenty of people that say them with gusto, right? And they really, every word is, a hammer blow. And bully for you. That's fantastic. That's what we're all going for. But to try to force it into take that and force it onto, a group, or, trying to force yourself into that mold, I find that it doesn't really have the juice that we're looking for in order to change our environment. So, because just saying the right words doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. So it's got to have that emotion behind it, the feeling behind it. I've got to have right? Again, just to reiterate, emotion, it's kind of in a headspace, right? But feeling is a somatic response, right? I feel it in my body. That's why the water leaks out of my eyes. That's why my mouth curls up like this, or 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 whatever, right? That's why I get that pit in my stomach, or butterflies when I just think about somebody. right? I mean, we've all had that experience. It's like just the fleeting thought of them, and it's like, oh, it's like, doesn't matter what's happening in the next couple of minutes. I'm on high, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
This is okay, So those are the kinds of things I really want to get that sort of, psychosomatic response from what I'm doing. And then as I build that more and more, and then when you go to do these other exercises, you're not going to have to force the idea of gratitude. You can't force it. But you can make something so real because you have so much experience with other forms of gratitude that, when you pull that trigger from them, when you get to that point where it's so saturated with those senses and it feels absolutely real to you, as if it was right in front of you right now, you're experiencing it right now, you're not gonna have to force a sense of gratitude. It's gonna be there. Just like you didn't have to force, just randomly reading a poem and then all of a sudden it's like, that's the most beautiful thing I ever read. So, it spoke to me right at that moment. It's like, you're not forcing that. You're not expecting that to happen. It just happens. It triggers something within you. Same thing with this. As I build my want more and more and add more layers to it, it's just, you're going to hit a saturation point. There's going to be a tipping point somewhere in that process. And when it happens, you're going to express gratitude in the way that it shows that it's already there. It's already present in your life. And no matter what's going on at that moment, you're going to be walking around like, done deal. It's here, done deal. And you're just waiting for it to show up. You might not know the avenue that it's coming, but it's here. There's nothing that's going to change your mind at that point. And you keep putting that out there, keep putting it out there, and it will happen.
Dude.
I got that little tearing up.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
It was the dog food commercial, right? Was
the tuna fish sandwich.
Yeah, it was the tuna fish sandwich, right?
No, it's perfect.
That's how we work it.
Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed as much as we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And good luck with the practice.